So I was looking through the best worst movies ever made list on IMDb and I came across a little movie called Samurai Cop. So I decided to watch the trailer and thought that this movie looked so crazy and so dumb to me that I just had to watch it.
Don't move! What are you gonna do, shoot me?
And now here I am talking about it. I recommend watching this movie even after watching this review. It's just so bad and so stupid you won't get the same experience just watching this review. So without further ado, let's get straight into Samurai Cop. So the movie opens with a title sequence with music that kind of reminds me of old 80s Nintendo games. Then, right the heck out of nowhere, the movie just abruptly starts with Gerald Okamura, who plays a character called Okamura, talking about how they're not an established gang yet. So this guy, Fujiyama, is the boss, which is obvious because he has his cool shades that actually reflect the film crew, which probably explains why they're just abruptly gone in the next shot. Fujiyama gives the order to go and kill the leader of his other gang. So this guy, Yamashita, takes the gang over there to go kill them.
In no way we go under Fujiyama's flag.
So Yamashita stabs the boss, and then there's this hilarious fight scene, which is one of many. The funny thing is, it doesn't end up showing the dead bodies of the other gang, and it just ends up with the faces of the bad guys and Yamashita saying that the job's done. But the job isn't done. I mean, all you did was stab the guy and you can see him clearly walking away in the shot, so yeah, I mean, he could have survived that. Anyways, now we're introduced to Samurai Cop, and I have to say, the first time I saw this, I nearly fell off the couch. I actually thought he was going undercover and that was just some sort of terrible disguise with the wig and a hat, probably because it's obvious that it was just a wig. And I love how the hat can't fit because it just kinda has to gently rest on top of the hair.
Are you sure this is a good bust?
Yeah, cocaine. We're gonna go catch us some bad guys.
We're going to catch some bad guys. So anyways, Samurai Cop and his partner Frank go to do a drug bust, but this of course leads to a hilarious car chase that is filled with way too many hilarious moments.
Hold on! You got him!
Hey, hold on!
It also consists of the bad guys shooting at them and Samurai Cop constantly telling Frank to shoot at them.
Shoot! Shoot him! Shoot! Shoot him! Shoot! Shoot him! Shoot! You got it!
Even when they hit a guy and run over him, the reaction is priceless.
Hey man, watch it! Watch it! Oh man!
Of course, as you would expect, it ends with the van crashing, exploding, and a stunt guy being lit on fire. Then Samurai Cop tells the chick police officer in the helicopter that he'll see her later at her place. And then it just cuts to this. And trust me, that's not the last time we're going to see this scene like this either. Then we have this scene, and this scene is one of my many favorites in this movie.
I want his head cut off and brought here. I want his head on this piano.
I will bring you his head and I will place it on your piano.
I will bring you his head, and I will place it on your piano. So Samurai Cop and Frank go to check on the driver of the van, and here we have possibly one of the worst scenes of all time. I'm gonna try and go through it piece by piece. First they ask the nurse if she can answer a few questions, and she says not for a few weeks because it's all burned obviously, and then it just goes right to this.
Do you like what you see?
I love what I see.
Would you like to touch what you see?
And Samurai Cop's reaction is incredible.
Yes, I would.
Would you like to f me?
Bingo.
Wow, how could any woman resist his charm? So she grabs his junk and says that there's nothing there, and these reaction shots from Frank are almost unbearable, especially when they're just the same two shots repeated. The funny thing about this scene is that it's completely pointless entirely. So Samurai Cop tells another officer not to let anyone in the room unless they're a doctor or a nurse, but then the lady from earlier shows up posing as a nurse and says she has to change the garbage because, you know, apparently that's what nurses do. Turns out that Yamashita is hiding under the car, and he proceeds to cut the guy's head off. So now they're being followed by security on the way out of the hospital, and once they get outside, they're confronted by random people. And the funny thing is, they all sound like the same person, and literally every person says the exact same line.
Hey, wait a minute. Ah! Hey, wait a minute. Stop. Ah!
it, Doctor.
You're the one that talked me into bringing this moron from San Diego to fight the Japanese katana gang.
Yeah, that's definitely the take you should go with. The one where the actor messes up his line. But I gotta say, I love this captain. He is the best angry police captain ever. And he says some pretty crazy shit.
I feel like somebody stuck a big club up my ass, and it hurts. We've got to figure out a way to get it out of there. A man in our custody lost his head. An officer lost his hand.
Who? Who lost their hand? Seriously, this had me really confused for a bit. I actually went back through the movie trying to figure out where the police officer loses his hand, and guess what? Never happened. I'm actually convinced that this may hold the record for the amount of times 1 week is said in a scene. It's hilarious.
This man has been here 1 week and I almost lost my job. If he's here one more week, I might will end up in jail and die of a heart attack, and I don't like that.
Hey, I've been here 1 week.
And just how long will it take you to bring them to their knees? 1 week?
It also has one of the weirdest and most awkward ends to a scene I have ever seen.
You son of a bitch! Come back here, you mother...
Now this next scene takes place in a restaurant, and you know the mark of a non-actor when they look directly at the camera. So in this scene, Samurai Cop confronts Fujiyama in the restaurant, and I'm just gonna bring this up now. I mean, they call him Samurai Cop because apparently, as they explain in the movie, he received samurai training from the masters at Japan, which I find weird, because he doesn't seem to display many characteristics of a samurai. Things like nobility, honor, self-control, and I love how they say he speaks fluent Japanese, which is probably why he stumbles over to these Japanese names.
What's his name? Omaha, Yamaha, whatever his name is, right?
Are you Fujiyama?
Now the speech he gives in this scene is hilarious, and he basically threatens to kill the boss and his gang.
Who are you? I'm a cop. Now I'm telling these son of a bitches that we respect the Japanese of this country, who are honest businessmen. And yeah, this is the land of opportunity for legitimate business. Now I'm telling these motherfuckers that if they continue killing our children to make their precious millions that they deposit in their secret Swiss bank accounts, I'll have their stinking bodies in garbage bags and ship them back to Japan for fertilizer.
And the really funny part at the end is when Samurai Cop's partner laughs and says this.
Hey, counselor. We'll see you in court.
Then we have one of the most bizarre and most pointless interactions I've ever seen in a movie.
Where's her father?
Bang!
Who shot him?
He!
Who?
Him!
Who's him?
Himself!
Oh, he committed suicide.
Yes!
Outside we finally get what I guess you can call a fight scene, and this is a good opportunity to bring up all the seamlessly endless and random cast of characters that are part of this gang. I mean, being a Japanese gang, I kind of assumed that at least most of them would be Japanese, but instead it's quite the opposite. I have never seen such diversity in a criminal gang before. It's almost like they just went around Los Angeles asking every single person they saw if they wanted to be in a movie. So we have this fight scene which is hilariously choreographed, and then it leads to some pretty awesome moments like this.
Freeze you motherfuckers! Leave him alone! Uncuff him! I'm in! Uncuff him!
So Yamashita finally takes out a gun and starts shooting everywhere, and then this guy for some reason just stands there and gets shot. Then this guy acts like he's getting shot even though it's clearly nothing that's hitting him, and it's pretty much the same with this guy too. So after springing a lot of bullets everywhere, Yamashita throws a grenade and leaves while Samurai Cop and Frank crack some terrible jokes.
Hey, look what they done to my car. Captain Roman's gonna burn my ass.
Yeah, he's gonna burn it. Charcoal black.
It is black.
Right on.
So I guess this is the next day, and Samurai Cop goes back to the restaurant, you know, where the war zone broke out, but instead of talking to the owner about the firefight that took place in the parking lot, he tries to get her to go out with him. This is some amazing police work right here. Anyways, as Samurai Cop is leaving, he's once again ambushed by random thugs from the Japanese gang. Wow, that looks pretty imitating, doesn't it? So after he beats all of them up, one of the guys gets off and we have a chase scene through the neighborhood, which is absolutely hilarious, especially since it ends when the guy just kinda trips accidentally on purpose. You know, I bet they casted him in this movie only because he has a dragon tattoo, and they probably thought, well, that looks cool, let's make sure we get a shot of that. So they go to Okamura's house with a plan of arresting him. And this is hilarious because one cop asks if it's the right house, and Samurai starts answering, but he's facing the opposite direction, so he's actually talking out loud towards the house that they're supposed to be sneaking up on. So inside the house, more Japanese gang members are sitting around with their shotguns while playing cards, smoking, eating donuts, and drinking lemonade. I don't know, and I've never been in a criminal gang before, but is this typical behavior? Because that would be surprising to me. So now we have Okamura in his underwear because that's what everyone wants to see. Gee, I wonder if there's any way possible that we can make this any more weird and awkward. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. As soon as Samurai Cop appears, Okamura flips his body up and just makes it much more hilarious. And then we have this amazing chase where Okamura grabs a briefcase and his clothes because for some reason he has time to change. So Okamura escapes the house with the briefcase. Obviously there's something important inside that briefcase. Maybe money, drugs. Hey, good thing there's this perfectly level tree stump here so I can open it and take out a gun. I'm serious, that's all that's inside the briefcase. In fact, we never see the briefcase ever again. And to make this even more hysterical, the gun only had 2 bullets in it. You know, I'm starting to think that this is the worst gang of all time. The gang members can't really fight, they don't move out of the way of gunfire, and they can't even run without hurting themselves. And it seems like there isn't even enough ammunition to fully load their guns. The following fight scene is horribly edited, as you might expect, and it was obviously shot on multiple days, on multiple times during those days. In the next scene, you can clearly see the shadow of the boom here, but that's the least of this movie's worries. And then it just cuts to this.
Look at you that's in a mafia boss's house.
One of his own men.
Somehow the bad guys know his location, so they send another gang of idiots to come after him. Now another shootout scene happens, with a very hilarious t-shirt, wig, and hat. And then it cuts incredibly abruptly to this. So after that whole murder fest that just happened, you think that maybe Samurai would go back to the police station and do some actual police work on what just happened. But no, he gets dressed in his Sunday best and waits for Jennifer to leave church, because obviously this should be his main priority right now. So he tells her he wants to ask her some questions in his car, but then he takes her to his beachfront property instead.
This chicken, I have a neighbor next door, and she has farm animals. And what I did was I jumped the fence, stole one of her chickens, and then killed it.
Great.
Because I really wanted to impress you.
Yes, that's exactly what every girl wants to hear on a first date. My neighbor has animals, so I jumped over the fence and I stole one. And I killed it, and then I cooked it, and here it is. So they decide to go for a walk on the beach. Good thing she just so happens to have her swimsuit with her. But again, I bet she always brings that to church. So now they have a plan to kill Samurai, but first they have to find out where he lives. Really? They had a guy spying on Jennifer when she was at church. That's how they knew she was with him in the first place. You mean to tell me that this guy just didn't, you know, follow him? So they show up at one cop's house. How? How did they know where he lives? Where did they get this information? And this guy, well, this guy is just really, really into his gun. I mean, wow. That is some heavy stroking. So then they go to the friend's house again. How do you know where he lives? And if they already knew where he lived, why didn't they just go there in the first place? I mean, that's his partner. It seems to me that it would be more likely to know his address than any of the others. Anyways, they threaten Frank.
Hey, take it easy, man. Come on. Talk to me. What do you want?
I can kill you now, or I can relieve you of this gift. This black gift.
So Frank kills those guys, and Frank tries to warn Samurai Cop, but he's busy.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jennifer. Happy birthday to you.
You thought of everything.
Well, you can't have a birthday without a cake.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyways, they get attacked at the house, and after the shootout, Samurai Cop and Jennifer get away. And then he just drops her off at the restaurant. Yes, that's a great idea. Let's just drop her off at the place where the bad guys hang out, and also know where she's most likely to be. And what's amazing here is that she just comes in and starts talking to her mother as if everything's fine, telling her she's in love. You know, as if she wasn't just inches away of getting killed a few minutes ago. And guess what? The boss shows up and kidnaps her. Wow, I'm shocked. So Frank and Samurai Cop go in and ambush the boss's house. Not sure how they know where he lives, but I don't really care anymore. And I just want to know in like their desperate search for actors where they found this guy. Did they hire him because they thought he would be really good at dying on screen? Because if they did, they failed. Inside the house, there's even more bad guys and more terrible casting. Doesn't this guy just paint the perfect picture of a hardcore gang member? We finally get the scene where they face off Fujiyama, and I have to say the one thing that disappoints me most about this scene. It wasn't the constantly changing cinematography or the terrible framing. What really disappoints me is that I have been waiting the entire movie to see that guy's severed head on top of that piano, and of course, we don't get it. So then we get the fight between Samurai Cop and Yamashita, and it's pretty much exactly what you'd expect it to be. The fight ends when Yamashita decides that he is lost, so he kills himself. And that's it. The movie just ends with Samurai Cop and Jennifer on the beach making out. Once again, if you have never seen this movie, I think you definitely should check it out, because this movie definitely broke me.
Come back here, you motherfucker!